Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar is titled Artificial Intelligence, the Top 5 Cases for SMEs, and that is Small and Medium Enterprises. It's proudly hosted by Global Edge leaders. We are thrilled to have you here for a session that's both timely and practical, unpacking just how small and medium enterprises and businesses can harness artificial intelligence to grow, innovate, and lead beyond what we know as business. At Global Edge Leaders, our mission is to equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and emerging leaders with the strategic tools and mindsets needed to thrive in a rapidly evolving world. Through our expert-led online workshops and free webinars, we provide practical learning that is relevant, accessible, and action-driven. You can explore our programs, tools, and resources at www.globaledgeleaders.com. My name is Baron Ochola, just to retort, and for anybody who might have just joined in, I am one of the co-facilitators of Global Edge Leaders with Daudi Mugabe, who is in the meeting today. And I am a public speaker with Toastmasters International. I am a marketer as well as a brand manager and communicator. Today's topic is relevant, not just as a futuristic concept, but as a tool that helps us on a day-to-day basis to shape how we do business. While large corporations dominate headlines, the most exciting artificial intelligence breakthroughs are happening in small and medium enterprises. From marketing automation and customer service to inventory management and intelligent analytics. Today's session, we will explore 5 standout use cases where SMEs are leveraging AI to increase efficiency, reduce costs, and unlock new growth. Now, if you will join me, it's time to introduce our keynote speaker today, I would rather say facilitator, because this is much bigger and much more in-depth than a keynote speech. It is with pleasure that I introduce today's speaker, Bernard Wanyama. Bernard is a technology strategist and business innovation expert with a passion for helping businesses tap into transformative power of emerging technologies, especially AI. With hands-on experience guiding SMEs through digital adoption, Bernard brings both clarity and practicality to today's conversation. We're honored to have him share his insights. Ladies and gentlemen, put your virtual hands together. You can turn on your video, you can turn on your audio. Well, audio for now, we can hold on, but I will invite Bernard to do so and take the virtual stage.
Am I visible? Am I too dark or too light?
Right in between.
Do I need a filter?
It's just perfect.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, colleagues. Nice to have you with us. I'd like to thank you for joining, and we'll just get started in a moment. Allow me to share my screen. Baron, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Absolutely. I can see your screen.
And you can see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I can.
Poster. Okay. So good evening, colleagues. Welcome once again. My name is Bernard Wanyama. I have been introduced. I think that's a new sophisticated introduction from Baron and the team. Thank you so much. But I'll just say that my profile is that of somebody who is interested in technology and has been interested in technology for a couple of years. And I want to say that it's out of this interest that I have been able to achieve a lot of collaboration, a lot of learning, and participate in a lot of projects and initiatives in this market and the markets around us. And so for me, it's always a pleasure to speak about technology, but also find ways of that technology getting to support businesses and business leaders in achieving their goals. So our focus is not technology for the sake of technology. It's technology to help business move forward. I think that then gives us a greater sense of purpose and also allows us to focus on the why and not exactly the what, because technology by its nature evolves and is always changing. And the thing that you pinpoint today might not exactly be the same that you pinpoint tomorrow, but the benefits, the value, the challenges, and the strategy could be something that we can try to perfect and ensure that we keep those in sight. So today we'll be talking about AI, where I think the whole world is mesmerized and taken up by the different developments, the different news and challenges and issues that are coming out of the market every other day. And so our focus today is going to be on how SMEs can use AI for their benefit. And by SMEs here, we could define an SME as a company that's smaller than 1,000 members of staff or 1,000 employees. In Uganda, we might find that a lot of our companies are SMEs, but also we could look at that from a smaller dimensioning angle, where we would talk of SMEs as the typical small business that runs in different sectors. It could be retail, it could be a hotel, it could be a media shop, it could be a supermarket, whatever it is. If you have a market that you're serving and you have employees and you have to be in the formal business registration system and you're paying taxes and you are recording your transactions and you have some level of automation and you want to have presence or visibility on social media and using those channels as something, an avenue for reaching out to your clients, I think that's an SME that could fit our definition for today. And so we'll be trying to speak to those needs and have a discussion that helps us understand what AI can bring to the table for you. So the focus for today, as advertised, is threefold. We'll be looking at some top 5 real-world applications that are tailored for SMEs. We'll also look at how to automate tasks and improve decision-making and enhance customer service using AI tools, bringing those capabilities closer to the SME owner or the SME as an entity by the power of AI. Then also having a look at practical tools and strategies that can allow an SME or a professional to deploy AI capabilities to help them achieve business goals. That's what our agenda will look like. We'll obviously start with painting the picture. What is AI and how the landscape looks like and what the trends are. Then we'll dive into real-world AI applications, and then we'll look at how to get started, and then we'll bring it to a close. So I'll start by stating the obvious. AI that everybody is excited about is really about having computer systems that can perform complex tasks that are traditionally done by human beings. Today, we are talking of models that can reason, can make decisions, and can solve problems. However, I think a few days ago, there was a development where Apple one of the leading technology companies, put out a study that said, look, guys, today everybody is saying we have AI models that reason, but the definitions that are being used to qualify this reasoning are quite shallow, meaning that there could be a false sense of achievement. We could be saying that AI models are reasoning, but the way they are doing it is not actually reasoning. It is actually putting a lot of computing power behind trying to come up with a sensible, logical explanation to problems that are thrown at them. And so it might not be reasoning. So you have such developments that are happening as the industry evolves, as progress is made. You might have such revelations, studies, and things that help us to figure out what exactly is going on. But the idea is that we are at a point in time where we can now deploy technology to mimic human behavior, to approach human level of understanding of issues and processing of information, to arrive at logical, expected conclusions that then give us the confidence that if you gave a task to an AI agent or an AI software or an AI system, it will give you the results that you expect. And so you can start to replace human engagement in certain tasks with an AI engagement, and you'll get the results that you expect. Now, if you have an assistant, or if you need an assistant, instead of waiting for them to be available, that task could easily be assigned to an AI model or an AI system, and you're able to get the results that you expect and use those to proceed with the higher level tasks that you might need to do. So AI is simply that set of capabilities that have become widely available at a low cost to the consumer and in a variety of forms that are consumable by ordinary human beings. You don't have to be a scientist working in a high-end lab. You don't have to be a high-level government employee with access to an exclusive system. It is now the kind of thing where you download an app, and even before you sign up with an account, you have access to certain capabilities, or even within the apps that you have been using for years, like WhatsApp, like Microsoft Office, or the Google browsers, the Microsoft browsers that we all use to access the internet, or even just the operating system itself. You have AI tools embedded and are working in the background. Some are optional, some are part of the workflow, whether you like it or not. So that's the level of penetration of AI, adoption of AI, but also the ease of use and the availability of AI tools around the different activities, the different work environments that we have, and also not just work, but also the social and communication tools that we tend to have. The AI capabilities have surrounded us in that sense. And they are not just for business, they also have applicability, or they're also having availability within personal spaces. And so the idea is that a human being today is surrounded by several AI tools or AI capabilities that are with you from when you wake up to when you go to bed, as long as you're interacting with any piece of technology that's maybe connected to the internet. There could be an AI capability in the background or even in the foreground if you choose to have it that way. So the artificial intelligence capabilities are enabled by primarily data or information, which has been used to train and teach and allow computers to understand and predict what human beings expect as a response to questions or to tasks or to problems that have been assigned to computers. So when the AI tool receives a question such as good morning, it bases its response on statistical probability and perhaps says, given the time of day and the way the question is being framed, the most probable, the most realistic, the highest likelihood is that this person expects me to reply good morning. And so the answer is arrived at from a sense of probability and likelihood. It might not be exactly that the machine knows something by heart, if we could use that sort of terminology, but the machine has access to data and has been taught from statistical learning that the greatest probability of getting this right is by responding good morning to a good morning. And so the idea is that a lot of data is used to continuously train and build up the capability or the accuracy and the likelihood that you get an answer that is satisfactory to you, basing on the context within which you have asked the question or assigned the task or given it a piece of work to do. So you have data and then different branches of statistics and computer science, such as machine learning, deep learning, and then natural language processing, where the machines are trained to respond using human-like answers or human-like feedback that satisfies you as the consumer or the operator of the machine or the owner of the smartphone or the owner of the computer, that this artificial intelligence model or this technology actually understands what you want it to do and is able to give you an answer that is correct. So the whole area of machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing is undergoing a lot of evolution. It's growing fast. And I believe the breakthroughs that we see could have been on ice for a while. But as with all technological capabilities, there comes a time when a breakthrough occurs and you have great speed at which everything develops. So you could have had an idea about a few AI models maybe before 2020, and it could have been research, experimental. It could have been a few people knew about it. A few people pursuing their PhDs could have done it. And it seemed like a technology of the future. 3 years ago, we have ChatGPT, and it simply booms like a wildfire because that was the time when all the factors became aligned and allowed the adoption and the growth to actually happen at that rate. So the technology might not be so new, but its applicability, its adoption, its the way it has been received by end users and consumers now creates a boom with AI, and that then fuels the further growth. Because if you have more people using the AI tools or the AI technology, you then have more learning, more resources made available. You have evolution. You then have more focus as businesses and investors start to focus on AI as the next frontier for creating value, for competition, and also establishing themselves as leaders in a particular market. So AI is booming as a result of convergence of a number of factors. And I think that could be a different discussion. But the reality is that we are now living in an AI gold rush, meaning that everybody from governments to technology giants to individuals and businesses are looking at how to gain the most out of AI. So there are those that are developing the AI capabilities. There are those that are developing the AI infrastructure. There are those that are building on top of the infrastructure to sell a product. Then there are those who are consuming the AI tools. There are those who are using these tools to do business. There are those who are using the tools for submitting assignments and essays and passing the exams. So it's quite an ecosystem. And I think that's where the value then comes, because we can now think of it as something that cuts across different verticals and different industries and offers value at different levels. So this is a sort of timeline to represent where we could be right now and how development has occurred. And the sense is that you've had a lot of research and development going into AI for all these years up to now, where we see a boom and we start to see AI as something we can use every day. And for some of us, it could be something we cannot do without. So there's a sense of build-up of neural networks being defined or being appreciated as an area of research in the 1940s to the so-called Turing test in the 1950s, the chatbot, I believe, from IBM in the 1960s, up to today, where we have ChatGPT and other tools which have now become part of everyday life and are deployed on billions of devices and have billions of active users every day across OpenAI, Meta or Facebook, Google or Alphabet, and many other players who each have a piece of the market and are able to address the needs of consumers using different products. And not just consumers, but perhaps even businesses who then layer these AI products within their existing technology or their existing technology stacks and offerings and give you access to AI without you perhaps knowing that AI is being involved in the delivery of the service. So that's what the timeline looks like. And so let's just proceed to look at the landscape today. I think this slide basically shows different areas of specialization. And I believe the whole idea is that you're going to have an ecosystem where different players are focusing on different areas in the value chain and are contributing to development. So you might have the relationship between somebody in the hardware space, the NVIDIA, the Intel, Huawei, all the people who are focused on creating the metal and the circuitry and the actual physical hardware that then powers AI systems. Those have to exist before anything else can exist on top of it. Before you have the software and the apps, you have to have the hardware. But then on the other hand, if you don't have demand at the software level, then the hardware does not get funded, does not get bought. And so it's an ecosystem where the players depend on each other to drive development. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the hardware and the software, and whichever players you have, you then have to think about it as an ecosystem. But also, the other reality is in an AI gold rush like this one, where everybody is going into AI, there is the concept of the people who sell the tools, the shovels or the spades, if we're to use Ugandan terminology, those who sell the spades that are being used by those who go into the gold mines and start prospecting for the gold, they perhaps make more money or have better business and have better cash flows than the guys who are at the front end who go to prospect for the gold, because those ones might find it or might not find it. But whatever happens, they would have to buy a spade or a shovel from the guys who are selling the hardware. So in a gold rush like this one, an AI gold rush like this one, you might start to look at the hardware vendors as the most profitable lot. And because their model has lower risk than those guys who are at the front line, trying out different business cases or different ideas, failing and succeeding, learning lessons, because they are on the front line and they are operating with a lot of risk, and they have to do the experimentation, and not all experiments succeed. So today you might see an up and coming player in a certain space. Tomorrow they might be acquired, or they might collapse, or they might go big, depending on how their fortunes turn out. And so the landscape and the ecosystem is quite interesting from that aspect. But I think the challenge is now to ask yourself, where do you want to be in this kind of gold rush? And what are your competencies? Where do you fit? Where can you make the most money, or where can you make the most impact? All right, so let's look into some of the trends that might be impacting the AI space today. This is coming from a Microsoft report from about 2-3 weeks ago. And in terms of surveying leaders across 1,000 businesses, especially based in the US and Europe, 79% of the leaders who are surveyed agree that companies need AI to stay competitive, meaning that AI is no longer a nice to have. AI is something that has got to be mainstreamed within the organization, and not just mainstreamed by allowing people to access ChatGPT and have it as an assistant as they draft reports and check out ideas for how to do things. But I believe that the opportunity could be deeper than the drafting of reports and getting ideas. It could go into the core business processes, where you start to look at your research and development, look at your operations, look at your sales and marketing, look at your finance, and have AI efficiencies supporting you in those key processes that then generate value and also protect value for your stakeholders within the organization. On the other hand, even though 79% of leaders agree that AI is needed for a competitive advantage, 60% of the leaders surveyed worried that the organizations did not have a plan and a vision to implement AI. So I think this is where we need to focus, because as a business, or as we adopt technology as human beings, there is a sense of a bandwagon effect. People will jump onto something primarily because they have seen enough people they trust or people they believe are doing the right thing doing it, and so that will be a motivator for them to get on board. And so many organizations today have an AI tool of one sort or the other, whether using it officially or unofficially. It's in use, but there could be the reality of no formal plan, no formal strategy, coming out of the organizational top level strategic and vision process. So the AI tools are being used, but are not linked to what the organization has as its mission and how AI will support the achievement of that mission. And so AI starts to be something that's used on the fringe, and it's not integrated into how do we achieve and deliver results as a whole organization. So this is perhaps the same thing that has been happening to many organizations when it comes to mainstream IT or information technology. A lot of the time, people have computers, people have bought ERPs, people have bought expensive subscriptions for software, and they remain in use as tools and do not have a clear linkage to your organizational strategy. And then you find that an organization is maybe spending 30% of its budget on technology, but does not have a strategic plan or strategic understanding of how to use technology for its achievement of its goals. And then we start to see leaders at the top level not appreciating the technology. They start to become suspicious. They say, oh, technology is too expensive. They are always taking a lot of money. Things are always going up. Every year you need to upgrade. Even when you think you've given them enough money, before you know it, there's a new need, a new demand, and it's urgent and you cannot refuse it. So the strategic alignment is got to be something that we think about, not just for the technology, but now even for the AI, which has created a new dimension that we must address. So any business that's going to use AI sustainably to achieve results, and I mean achieving results intentionally, not by accident, you've got to have a strategic vision or a strategic approach and understand how that AI is getting into your different business processes and supporting you and being tracked for a sustainable adoption that will give you results that you can manage. So I think the key point here is strategic alignment. It's got to come from the top. There's got to be a plan and a vision for AI before you get into AI. I know we have AI already in place in all sorts of devices, all sorts of places, but there's got to be the work done at the top level of the organization. The board of directors, the ownership, the leadership of the company has got to understand how AI contributes to achievement of your mission. So I wanted to use an example here. I think I'll come back to it. I've been playing around with an AI capability to support a real business that's launching soon. So I think I'll show it to you a few moments from now, but let's proceed and then we'll get back to that. So a typical business would look at specific pain points that are relevant to the achievement of the mission, but also to protection of value. There is generating value on one hand, and on the other hand, protecting value. Many organizations are good at generating value. They know their craft and can deliver it very well. A lot of the time, the danger we have is in protecting that value. And so being able to ensure that you have efficiency, you have customer experience being upheld to levels that you have mandated the organization to have. You prevent fraud and loss in your processes or in your operations, and you have a handle on risk management. I think those are key things for businesses. We also have decision making and business intelligence, which could be an area where AI can help you go into your data and give you insights that you may not be able to get by hand. But also innovation and new business models is something that AI could do. And so these are basically starting from the top. This is what every business seeks to do. And so without putting technology at the forefront and talking about whatever cloud, whatever robotics, whatever programming interfaces we have, this is what business people or business leaders care about. And we've got to be able to speak to what a business cares about. So any technology intervention, any AI intervention has got to speak the language of business. It's got to be relevant to what the business expects. Before you have that in place, you might just be marketing technology for the sake of technology. And so we've got to think business first and then challenge ourselves to see how technology will support the needs of the business in those different areas. So moving it forward, how do you get started in using AI if you do not have a big budget or serious capabilities backing you, which would be the case for most SMEs? The average SME might not even have a full-time IT function. And even the bigger SMEs might just have a few people doing support and might not have research and development specialists thinking about integration of AI into the business. So the idea is to get started with a sense of strategy. As we had said earlier, there needs to be an AI strategy that aligns with business strategy. If you do not have this, then we will have a big problem. There needs to be a business strategy that is well understood, and then you start to speak to different parts of that strategy and use it to use an understanding of that strategy to then find relevant, appropriate technology interventions that will give you results in the sense of the business being able to achieve its goals because it has invested in the right technology. After that, you then need to think about the AI skills that you have to put in place. These AI skills could be in-house, could be outsourced. They could be specific to your business. They could be highly technical skills that you need to pay for or get access to one way or the other. But the idea is that across all different areas of the team, there needs to be skills in using AI. So leadership needs to have AI knowledge or AI fluency that is relevant to leadership level. Business functions, operations, finance, sales and marketing, whichever teams that you have in your organization need to have the right training. Now, we could ask ourselves, the people who are on the call, I think there's enough people to safely ask a question. How many people have been trained on AI? How many of us have gone for an AI training which is formal, or you have completed a few hours of AI training? You can put up your hand. I think I can count the hands here. Can I assume that nobody has gone for a training? Okay, then on the other hand, how many people use AI? I think we all use AI, right? So I'll ask, who does not use AI in their day-to-day work? Okay, So, Gina, have you gone for training for ChatGPT?
No, it's just hustle. Not official, yeah.
Okay, so I think the point I want to make is that we could have a blind spot there where we kind of assume that everybody knows how to use the tool because it is easy to use and somehow everybody's using it, and so we all think that maybe we are okay, and that creates a blind spot, something that we think we have figured out, but in reality, it's not being done well. So there needs to be formal training, even when you have familiarity with the tool. You need to be able to put into context what the tool can do, how it's supposed to be used, and how to get the best out of it. And I think this is an emerging area where we all need to start thinking differently. There are now resources and there is focus on training people on how best to use the tool. So just like you could have a phone that you know how to use and you love very much and you're very familiar with, there could be features that you have never used and they will save you hours of your life in a week because you are using the tool as a trained user as opposed to kind of learning on the job and maybe learning just 20 or 30%, depending on what you were interested in the first time and what you got to see. So there needs to be AI skills that are continuously passed on to the people who use the tool so that they can be able to maximize the value out of the tool. An example I have is that as a technologist, I spend a lot of time trying out tools. Now, the danger is you could try out something, it looks exciting, and you actually it seems to be working, and then you go down a rabbit hole or go down a path, and you get frustrated, and maybe you abandon that tool and maybe look for another one. And then you start to have, a pattern. Every time you see something shiny and nice, you try it out, sign up, create an account, get started, do 2-3 hours, you get into it, get very excited, you sleep late, and maybe the next day you forget about it and life goes on. So how many apples do you bite and don't actually eat? That could be the fate of most of us when it comes to AI tools. And so why does that happen? Perhaps it's a training gap, but also the nature of the tools that we have. There's going to be a lot of implementation or adoption risk where the reality is not all tools are mature. Most tools are new. Most tools are experimenting. Most of the startups that are behind AI software as a service are startups. They are trying out to see if users will love their product. And so the users that sign up, like you and me, are part of an experiment. And the experiment sometimes goes well, but most times does not succeed. But everybody learns a lesson. So there could be a lot of time and effort spent trying out new tools, and people get frustrated and maybe back off and go back to doing things the way they've done them for the so many years they've existed. So this needs to be, I think, factored into whatever training or whatever adoption strategy that we have, so that we understand the nature of AI tools and start to think around the issues, so that even when we encounter frustrations, even when we encounter challenges with adoption, we have the right training, we have the right guidance, we have the right approach and methodology that then helps us to stay on top of the game, as opposed to suffering with the pitfalls and the challenges that are inherent with AI tools. Then on the other hand, ethics and safeguards cannot be understated. The key thing about AI today and the way we consume it is going to be privacy risk. You submit your data to the AI tool, and that is the price you pay for access to the tool, especially when it's free. So in scenarios where intellectual property, company records, reports that are restricted and confidential are being processed by AI tools, there needs to be considerations around the privacy risk, the ethical considerations, as well as safeguards that can be used to ensure that we do not end up sharing too much with AI tools in ways that breach company policy, breach the laws of the land, and also breach consumer trust. If you are in the medical field, if you are in tourism, for example, if you are in a customer-facing retail type business, the truth is you'll be dealing with a lot of sensitive or personally identifiable customer information, which has privacy compliance requirements that you must safeguard as somebody who is processing that data. And so AI tools open that gap, and so far we do not have proper technical safeguards apart from the ethical behavior that the human beings in the chain must observe. So I think at the end of the day, the key thing is that AI creates privacy risk. It also creates an ethics gap where you start to ask, is it fair for you to pay a human being to do some work and then they give it to a machine and give you back work that has been done by a machine? A few months ago, it was very obvious when you received a report that had been created by a machine. It was very easy for you to see that this is ChatGPT, depending on the keenness of your eye. Today, I think things are improving, or maybe we are getting used to ChatGPT, and the way ChatGPT talks, it has now become normalized and we have no problem with it. But I think some people also still copy the whole output and even copy the disclaimer that is issued by the AI tool and forget to remove that warning that this is AI generated content. So what does that do to consumer trust? What does that do to customer trust for those of us who are professionals and are being paid and have a duty to deliver something that the customer expects is done by us? And the customer would be disappointed if they learned that this was done by a machine. So when you ask somebody to do a task, what are the limitations? What is the expectation? How much AI content do you expect to be in there? Perhaps you may not be a faculty professor or a teacher who expects that people will write their own essays. But the whole idea is that the ethical and risk implications around AI are real, and they can make or break your business when you choose to use AI as part of the way you do business and the way you deal with customers. Moving on. So I think we've spoken to some of these things. I think they can be expanded. We can speak more, but I believe the idea is that before we plug into AI, before we dive in, there's got to be a sense of, have we thought about it enough to be ready for the pros and the cons, for the good and the bad and the ugly? Are we preparing ourselves as business owners, as leaders, as people who are going to own the results? Do we know what we're getting into when it comes to AI, and is there adequate preparation and safeguards that will give us the results that we want to see. So typically you will have AI as a software as a service. You go to a certain website and log on or download an app and create an account. Most of the time there's a free service which you can upgrade to a paid service for more features or more capabilities. But I believe that most organizations, SMEs, will find their level at a free service where they don't get the full package, all the bells and whistles, but still can get along and use it to meet their needs on a day-to-day basis. You might also find small AI models that are downloadable onto your laptop or onto a device, and you could localize those AI models within your office or your data center or your premises, where the data does not leave the cloud, does not leave your office and go into the cloud. That could be possible. You could also have local and regional vendors that offer customized solutions. For example, today we have a company called Sunbird in Sunbird AI in Uganda, which does a lot of localization and customization around language interpretation and local friendly AI technology for businesses that have to deal with people in different languages apart from English. So there could be different models of getting started depending on what you're doing. But the whole idea is that it's not just about ChatGPT. It's not just one product, ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Gemini. There could be different ways that you can use AI, and you have to explore those and think about which one or which combination best gives you value. I wanted to speak to the agentic AI or AI agents, where you have an AI that you can now send to do things and get it to achieve a lot of tasks that you could have done manually. So you could be, for example, filling out a form. Many organizations have a data entry process where somebody collects data, brings paper reports, and then those have to be filled in manually from one system. Could be PDFs into a web page or web form. There could be different scenarios, but today we have agents that can be used to automate some of these tasks. So instead of cutting from here and pasting there 1,000 times before you have finished the workload on your desk, you could deploy an AI agent, like in this case, you have Claude, and connect it to different parts or different data repositories within your organization and get it to actually do the work by reading in one place and posting in another place and achieving a workflow that then replaces your valuable human time and allows you to use your human time for other things. Now, the beauty about agents is that, one, they are becoming more and more accessible. Two, they speak to day-to-day tasks that people do on their computers, things like programming, things like research, things like data cleansing or data collection or data preparation. You have a lot of day-to-day tasks that can be quickly and easily automated by an AI agent. And I think that's going to be where we are able to free up a lot of human resource and say that instead of working with a deficit of maybe 2 or 3 staff that you cannot recruit for financial reasons, and you then have the workload of 3 people on one person, you can free up that one person's time by having an AI agent take up some of their tasks on their computer, or even give a computer to an AI agent and let it be supervised by another person and free up that valuable human time for that employee to do better things like speaking to customers or actually attending to customers in person, which is more value for their time and generates more value for the business. So I want to bring it to a close here with a Q&A, and then perhaps we could also maybe spend a few minutes looking at the example that I had. I invite Daudi, over to you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Bernard. I hope I am audible. I'm speaking for the first time. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bernard, for such an engaging talk. I've learned a lot about AI today, and I've been using it for quite some time. So thank you for illuminating this pertinent topic for us. We have Baron's hand up. Baron, yes, please go ahead.
Oh, that was I was about to give a thumbs up, so I think the AI didn't read me right. Sorry.
Yes. You're using the free version, definitely. Right. So I would invite each and every one of us, if you have any questions and you can't speak, use the chat. Otherwise, if you can speak, just raise your hand and then we'll select you to unmute and ask your question to Bernard. Dina, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, Daudi. And thanks, Bernard, for the clear, elaborate session on AI. I just have two questions. Firstly, you mentioned that AI can be used for various things in a business. I was wondering, are there specific AI tools you'd recommend, like in finance, or can it be any? If so, kindly recommend. Then secondly, you mentioned about the training. Is there a specific training you'd also recommend that one could take for particular areas in business, or a general AI training? Thanks.
Oh, Bernard, you're muted.
Yes, the AI told me I was muted. Then I wondered how it knows that I'm muted. Okay, thank you, Dina, for your question. I think I'll start with the last question, then I hope I remember the first question. But training, I wanted to avoid going on record, but we cannot avoid it. I think the key, one of the best training resources is out of Microsoft. Although Microsoft is a commercial player, sometimes we like to avoid putting one player over the other. But Microsoft has great AI training. Now, for end users and business users, and although it is focused around Microsoft tools, the training can help you go from a self-taught user or a self-made expert to somebody who understands the whole array of tools that are available and is able to harness the full power of the tool sets that you have within your reach. So Microsoft has a great AI training site. I think you can just search for Learn. It's called Microsoft Learn, Learn. So Microsoft Learn, and then there are AI, a whole array of AI trainings there. Some are technical, others are business. So you go for the business ones and you get in there. We also have Anthropic, Anthropic. So those two vendors, together with ChatGPT or OpenAI, they do have a lot of relevant training that you can then use to build up your skills specifically. Now, when it comes to specific industries like finance or specific professions like finance, we have GPTs that are built on top of the underlying, say, OpenAI. You have a specific tool that is then trained to speak the language of finance, for example. So you could have one for people who are in, finance, accounts, payable, and things like that. You could have one for modeling. You could have one for people who are in investment. So I think you could also search for Finance GPT. There's one called Finance GPT, which then brings a lot of the Excel formulas, complex analysis, etc., and brings them to you quickly. And you can now just ask it a question, and it will apply the right or the most appropriate formulas and suggest how to do the analysis that you want. So there is way too many tools to count. Every week there's something new. And I think once you get hooked, I don't know how far you'll go, but it's I can only promise you it's an exciting journey. So spend some time, I think, from a personal development and a professional development perspective. Commit yourself to getting a certificate from one of these Microsoft or OpenAI or Anthropic or Deep Learning. Look at the array of trainings that they have. Look at one that speaks to your role and your interest, and you're going to have a chance to gain a certificate. Most of the training is free, but once you go through it, your mind starts to change as you appreciate the power of the tools that are available, but also you start to see that you've just been touching the surface, and there's so much in there that you can use to apply the power of AI to make life easier. Thank you.
Thank
Dina,
you,
have I
Dina,
answered
and
second?
thank you, Bernard.
Yes,
Dina,
you have.
have
Yes,
your
you
two
have.
questions been answered? Okay. Lois,
Yes, you
I
have.
see your hand is up. Also, Baldwin shared a few resources in the chat. If any of you has an opportunity, there are some links there, deeplearning.ai as well as academy.openai.com. So please have a look at those links for further study. Lois, over to you with your question.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Bernard, for that wonderful delivery. I'm indeed grateful that I joined. Mine is not far from Dina's, only that I just want to know about online marketing. I'm into business, though for now it's a small business. I do market my products online. But I've always seen impressive photos and then people marketing really well online. And you see a product and you feel, yeah, I want to buy this. That's the kind of marketing I really want to get into, that impressive marketing. When my client sees this, they should be in position to want and buy it there and then. But I've always struggled with it. I don't know, what can you advise so that I reach that level? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lois. I think your question is it's a good question. I want to say that I think there are two things. One, when it comes to development of creation of graphics, we are at a point where things are getting better every week. I think there's a lot of new things happening. So AI generated images have gone from, I think 6 months ago, we had images at, not even 6 months, maybe 2-3 months ago, we had images where, the AI will still generate a person's hand with only 4 fingers. And now you can have a perfect baby version of me producing or saying the words that I'm saying, and you can even know it is me, and the lip syncing is almost there. even if I'm talking in a local language or vernacular or my own language or a language which is not English. So the development of AI graphics, video, and voice is absolutely wild. It is going off the charts. Every week, something mega is happening. Now, I think I'll also ask people on the call to contribute, but my understanding of your problem would be that you want to get in there and start. You find one or two tools that can give you that ability to generate those impressive graphics. I believe bypassing our weaknesses with our graphics designers who take their time and sometimes don't even do anything for you. So you may have tools like Canva, which have been traditionally offering online graphics capabilities and have now deployed AI models in the background to help you have access to real-time, realistic videos and photos which are AI generated. So the tool of choice is up to you. I would say I recommend something like Canva or one of its competitors, and you getting onto that. And again, you need to get the training and avoid being like most of us who simply take one bite at the apple, try it a bit and run off to another tool because we are experimenting. A professional has got to then choose one thing, focus on it, and gain good skills there, and then harness the platform as part of your day-to-day workflow. It then becomes a co-pilot or an assistant that you can use reliably to give results that your customers will appreciate. But also, again, be sensitive to the expectations of your customers. They might not appreciate certain types of AI-generated content. So you kind of have to stay on top of what the AI produces and ensure that it satisfies the needs of the customers. But I can ask Daudi, I can ask you to maybe weigh in a bit, if you don't mind.
Yes, thank you very much, Bernard. Actually, I was going to respond to that in much the same way that you did. Like you rightly said, AI can do so many things. I mean, it's quite vast in terms of how specific we can become. And I believe at this point, there are particular tools for any direction that you want to go. So to Bernard's point, you need to pick one, become a professional at it, and then zero down on it. For example, when it comes to designing posters, you could become an expert in Canva, you could become an expert in Poster My Wall. There are tools like Midjourney and so on and so forth. There are many, but you want to figure out which one to go for and become a guru in that particular one. But then that raises a question that I have, which I will save for later. However, at this point in time, I do not know if, Lois, your question has been ably answered or if you need some more clarification.
Yes, I think it has been. My next question would be on the training. If I need a training, where can I get the services from? Because it has been something that has really, really disturbed me. I visited Canva at one point because a friend told me about it. However, I didn't feel satisfied because I could not figure it out on my own. I tried, but later on I lost it. I feel I need more depth in it. There's more to it that I need. Yeah.
Yeah, in that regard, personally, I would recommend YouTube. YouTube has so many resources on almost every topic, whereby they show you a step-by-step process on how to achieve whatever you want, from beginner level to intermediary to expert level. And because it's a free resource, I think it's something that maybe you can explore specifically for Canva or whatever other tool you'd like to use. Maybe Bernard, if you have something to add to that, I don't know. Baldwin has his hand up. Bernard, I'll give you first priority. Then
thank you. I support YouTube.
Okay, Bobby, go ahead.
Thank you, Daudi and Bernard, for the awesome presentation. Just like Bernard has said, YouTube is a very good resource. It's called, you call it YouTube University. And there's so much you can learn. Specifically to Lois, when it comes to learning or training, I encourage people or learners to first focus or learn prompt engineering, because the output of the language model or your AI, if I may use that phrase, is based on how good your prompt is, what you tell it to do. There is a structure that generally is followed for you to get the best outcome possible. The way you instruct it, how you tell it, there's usually a structure, task, and things like that. So in your field, for example, graphic design, the better your prompt engineer, your prompt is, the better the outcome, because it's understanding, it's interpreting what you're telling it to do in a much more clear way. So there are a lot of resources when it comes to prompt engineering. There are certifications in prompt engineering. It's actually a fully fledged, almost sub-industry. People who are good at talking to the AI and letting it output what you want. So if it comes down to training, and prompt engineering cuts across the industry, whether you're in finance, whether you're in IT. I can give an example. I'm doing a lot of tasks right now using Claude AI. I'm not a programmer. I hate programming, but Claude AI is something that has really amazed me to execute some tasks that would have actually outsourced to resources. So, I mean, it's more work for me, but it's also saving for the organization. And this shows you, like Bernard clearly put it, how far and how much you can achieve. Recently, we had at work, we were recruiting for service center agents, and it was quite interesting how we had the proof of concept of how AI can be used to automate the process, receiving the emails, sorting the attachments. It was really fantastic, but it was more or less that really proof of concept. We didn't entirely use it, but we showed that it can be used to automate such processes. So it's not AI is something that we can't ignore. Let's just continue trying to learn and improve. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Bowden. I completely agree with the prompt engineering. And Bernard has also shared something in the chat, a link to a resource that can help you learn and appreciate prompt engineering. I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to use this opportunity to ask my question, which circles around what we've been discussing, and that touches on what Bernard mentioned earlier, which is having an AI strategy. This is for organizations, but I want to bring it down to a small business, or specifically, if you can help me appreciate what an AI strategy would look like for a social club. I've noticed there are quite a number of members here with whom I share a social club. And by social club, I mean where people gather to do an activity, they have members. Maybe every week somebody joins a meeting, they collect data, and they have activities that they do that maybe they document. And also Lois's question perhaps in a way can be answered by having a sort of AI strategy to help her execute some of these tasks that she has. So what does an AI strategy actually look like at a at the low level. Maybe if you can explain it in simple terms that we can appreciate, that can then help us appreciate what tools we have to get, how we have to approach this whole AI thing.
Okay, thank you, Daudi. Your microphone has a bit of crackling, so we are not getting you clearly, but I got the question. So I think the AI strategy simply is about spending some time asking yourself what AI can do for you and how you want to approach it, so that you don't find yourself using AI by mistake or by circumstance, but you have taken time to look at your pain points, your opportunities, your situation as a business or as an organization, and then you also go in there and look at what AI can do for you today and what it takes, so that when you are choosing a tool, you're choosing one that fits your needs. When you're choosing the tasks you want to outsource or automate with AI, you have thought about it. A lot of times people will use AI. If you're not thinking about it in advance, you may find that AI is being used in a way that breaches your policy or breaks the law. You may have private information being submitted to AI tools without appropriate safeguards. Or you could even have leakages, or people could even go and download fake AI apps that are actually stealing your information and are causing you security or cybersecurity risks because nobody has been guided. There are no principles and a solid plan and a training plan and a choice of tools and review of results that help you ensure that you're on the right track. And if changes need to be made, they are made in a timely manner. So we need to have a deliberate, formal thinking about AI. The same way you'd search for, say, business premises, you have some requirements and you use a process, and then you arrive at something that you believe fits, and then you take it up and you use it for as long as it fits. And when time comes, you move on. So in a digital world, we need to apply the same questions or the same thinking, the same approach that we would use physically, so that we get the best results, we get value for money, and we remain in control. I think remaining in control is one of those things that we must do, so that it is not the cat leading the horse, as opposed to the horse leading the cat. I think that's just how I would put it. So as an individual, invest in AI skills, invest in AI fluency, think about AI as a skill that you need as a professional, think about it as a capability you need as a business, and spend some time, spend some money on learning AI. If you can spend money on different areas of the business, I think we have come to a point where AI is also a place where you will need to spend some money, whether it is paying a subscription. I tell people that if I'm asked to pay $20 a month, which is maybe 80 or 100,000 shillings a month for an assistant called ChatGPT Premium or Claude Premium, I think it's a good deal. How many smart people can you find who will work for 100,000 a month and not have complaints, not have the limits, who can give you all the answers you want? So let's start to think about the value as opposed to looking at it as a side or fringe tool that we can use once in a while when we are stuck or when we are bored. AI has immense power, and we've got to formalize the way we we think about it and getting the best results from it. Over to you, Daudi.
Right. Sorry, I was struggling with my microphone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Can you hear me, Bernard?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I've seen you saying yes. Well, we have 6 minutes left. Does anybody else have a question for us to ask Bernard as we discover and learn AI tools in general? I don't see any hands coming up. I don't see anything in the chat, which means, Bernard, you have been very well understood in today's session. And thank you once again for gracing us with your presence. Every time we have you on this platform, we learn a lot. And thank you to our audience for being very active. And we hope that this session has taught you something about AI tools. Interestingly enough, at Global Age Leaders, one of our courses is on AI tools, where we have a basic review of how to use these tools in a way that goes beyond the surface level. In other words, what Baldwin was touching on, the prompt engineering for these various tools. How can you get a quality output from different tools such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, and other AI tools that are available for different purposes? So we have one of those courses on our catalog here at Global Age Leaders. Please have a look at it. And if you'd like to watch the recording of this session, it will be available this week on our YouTube channel and our website as well. That is www.globalageleaders.com. This month, we have another webinar coming up. It will be about financial literacy, and we hope to see you there if that's something that you'd like to learn about. Otherwise, I would like to thank you, Bernard, so much for helping us appreciate this AI myth, something that I know we'll all learn as time goes by. But for today, thank you so much for helping us add that extra knowledge to our repertoire and helping us have another bow to our string. So thank you so much. And thank you, everybody that has been on the call. We hope to see you soon. For now, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon.